Good morning, Raptor Freaks. Alexi Otts here. Saturday morning, the Raptors lost. Buzzer beater winner by Kyrie Irving at the very end of the game last night. Tough, heartbreaking loss. One of quite a few we've had recently. And we shouldn't get used to it, but we should also understand that our team is very much like a young team that is talented. And this is the thing: we're kind of skipping some of the development stages of a normal team. In some ways, we're skipping like the losing a lot kind of part, and we're right at the part where you're so close, but you just barely lose. And that's a good sign, honestly. People may think this is a bad sign or something's wrong or something's crazy right now, but this is the crazy thing. We're actually in one of the later stages of a developing team about to turn back into a good team again. It's just this year may be a really tough year. They really stacked things against us with our schedule this year. There's no good reason for us to be done with the Nets for the season right now. It's absolutely ridiculous in some ways. They pointed it out in the broadcast last night that it's true that when you're making your run for making the playoffs, you want to be playing against divisional foes. And having to only see them at the beginning of the season, who knows what could happen to them in the next 2 or 3 months? They could have a lot of things change, and there could have been games later this season that the Raptors played against the Nets that could have been a lot different in different ways. But yes, they have swept us this season. And in a lot of ways, I say that Kyrie specifically swept us because he was so paramount and forefront on how these games went and him forcing his will on the game. So let's see what your comments are. I have the box scores open for both games last night, the 9:05 game also. And we'll do our 3 stars and regular reaction to these games. But yeah, remember, I'm going to stay positive, and I'm not that upset about what happened last night. It is what it is. We could have played better defense right at the end of the game to stop Kyrie, but then could we have? He is somebody who's very, very special, and we have to realize that. And I don't know. There's a lot to it. All right, let's see what Scott B is saying first. Scott B has a gripe, league manipulation, written all in caps. He's upset. Raptors start the third quarter with 9 straight phantom fouls in under 4 minutes. Nets go 8 of 9. The third quarter really was kind of where everything got really bad. The first quarter, fantastic, perfect job playing the Nets, doing such a good job. At halftime, we had a 10-point lead. At halftime, we had a 10-point lead. We kept even with them in the second quarter, so that the 10-point lead we had at the end of the first quarter was intact. But then in the third quarter, things started to go crazy again, unravel for us. We got outscored 36-22 in that quarter, and that is really the difference right there. We lost by 3, and we won the last quarter by 1 point. We won the first one, and then we lost by 14 in the third. That's the difference right there, losing by 3 at the end. And the players said this after the game. We lost this game earlier than when the buzzer beater happened because of the third quarter. That is such a huge deficit. And there's a few things I can blame for this, but I'm not necessarily going to blame the refs, Scott B, because I'm going to tell you right now, they were pretty even right down the road. In fact, Jason Goldenberg was golden. I was chanting Goldenberg during the game because the man was calling travel calls, all kinds of good stuff on the Nets. And we were getting a lot of good favor with the referees. So I cannot say that the referees were any kind of reason for why we lost last night. In fact, they were helping us. We got some good home cooking from Goldenberg and Bookert. And I have no problem with the way they ref last night. Now, there were, the problem was that our team just was having certain issues also, like defensively around that time. We really ride or die with Koloko too much right now, and I hate that. I think that it's a big, big mistake to match him up against Claxton. The Claxton absolutely kills him. He has so far this year that Koloko's just not ready for that matchup. You got to understand the reason why. Koloko is who Claxton was when he was a rookie. So Claxton is in Koloko's head to a degree because he was him years ago. And that he knows exactly what his weaknesses are and what he hasn't learned yet as a rookie in the NBA. So he can pick them apart. as being a vet over him at this point. And that's a big, huge part of this. One of the things we got to realize in this league is vets can out-vet younger players and outsmart them, use their guile to totally get buckets and do things to them when they want to stop them, or they're, whatever, they'll still figure out ways to trick them. It's just how it is. Old vets are crafty and they can figure out ways to trick young players. And in that matchup, Claxton can trick and outplay Koloko in all kinds of ways because he's still young. So he's the right cross between the youngness and the enough knowledge accumulated as a young player to outplay a rookie who has not played in the NBA long enough. And this is Nick's fault for continuing to put him out there against him in this series against the Nets. That really dumb in some ways. Like, I understand you want to start Koloko. Maybe it looks good visually because, that's the height test. He can match him up eye to eye. You've said these things before, but I still think it's folly. And it's really because he can get tricked so badly by him. And this was a huge factor in what was going on. Claxton was a huge X factor last night. In fact, in some ways, I need to do the stars for the Nets because there are few. Like Kyrie Irving, obviously, with the buzzer beater. Kevin Durant, fantastic, 10 of 15 shooting, 6 of 6 at the free throw line, 28 points. That is really good. He did have 5 turnovers, and that was fantastic by that for us. But then you got a double-double from Claxton, who was perfect from the field, 5 or 5, 10 rebounds, 15 points, 6 blocks. Nicholas Claxton, a huge factor. That's the kind of line I want to see Koloko get, a 5 for 5, 10 rebounds, 15 points, and 6 blocks. Maybe in 2 or 3 years we'll see it, but don't hold your breath now. And then another person, of course, we got to talk about Yuta Watanabe last night. 6 of 7 from the field, 3 of 4 from 3, 3 rebounds, 17 points. Now, let me tell you, Yuta Watanabe got the same amount of points as Pascal Siakam. 17 points for Pascal, 17 points for Yuta off the bench. That's a huge, huge sign that's messed up. And then Pascal is our 3rd leading scorer for the night. That is really bad. That is real, real bad when you're matching up with Yuta off the bench on the other side. In fact, they were going at each other. There was that one play where Pascal bumped into him a little bit, and then Yuta flopped and went sliding underneath the basket, and they didn't give him any respect for that. I'm telling you, Scott B., the refs were good last night. It wasn't the refs last night. It was really, the fact that we're matching up. We got to play so good and have a good cushion because they have ultra supreme talent on the other side that is going to go ahead and win the game if it's close at the end. You can't have a close game against the Nets and Kevin and Durant and Kyrie Irving. They are going to figure out a way to try and score on you and get that basket in there. And I wish I could say it was ref manipulation, but honestly, or league manipulation. Well, you know what? Actually, you did say league manipulation. Maybe there is a bit of league manipulation. I think this season, this schedule for the Raptors this year is so fucking fishy. At the beginning of the year, they said we had the 2nd easiest schedule, but I think they were bringing out propaganda to hide a whole bunch of fucked up shit they did to us on the schedule. And now all of a sudden we're hearing that we have like the 5th hardest schedule for the rest of the season at this point. And I'm like, what the fuck? Wait a second. Something's not adding up. There's some real weird shit about our schedule this year. And I don't like it. I don't like it. We got a Golden State tomorrow, and then very much we got to go on the road and go to Philadelphia the very next night on Monday to play against the Sixers. That seems like a trap game right there already. So, it is what it is. Scott B's also saying Scotty gets shouldered by KD, dunks on his head anyway, gets a technical. Okay, maybe the league is fair. Next play, KD drops his shoulder into Gomez like he's playing football, no flagrant. Yeah, they could have probably called a flagrant on Kevin for that point, but I did like getting the technical on him. And in fact, that would have thrown him out. That's part of the reason why they didn't call the flagrant foul on him for Juancho Hernangomez, because he was towing that line, and maybe they should have thrown him out. I don't know. The calls were pretty good, though. Like, listen, they really were on their asses, and there was times when we were getting favor, but there, it went both ways in some ways, but really did favor us overall. I'm not going to say that the refs were against us last night. Scott B's also saying, and last but not least, that was goaltending. Scotty should have gotten M1. Your add to our schedule bullshit with the most back-to-backs in the league. Yeah, well, there is a lot of things stacked against us. But once again, these guys are pros and they're going to have to say, like, look, we can't control who's going to be injured or not. We can't control what the schedule is. We can't control this or this or this or this. We just got to go out and do our best. And in some ways, we're just getting unlucky breaks in different ways. It could be that if we were playing a different schedule against different teams at different times, we may have won some of these games. It's just that we're happening to hit the beats of the schedule with times where we're having problems, like Gary can't play all of a sudden last night. OG's out right now, and Precious. That would have very much helped us last night if we had OG and Precious to run around defensively for us and help. So there's a lot of woulda, coulda, shoulda. But once again, it is every setting and everything that we go into for each NBA game is just going to be what it is. And our team has to do the best they can to just try and win. In some ways, I don't know what's going to happen in the next couple of weeks. It could be that it gets real dark and we lose a lot. But in some, we got to think about what's the win in this. Well, maybe this does mean we get a very good draft pick this year. Who knows? We just got to hope and pray for the best. I pray for our players to have better health, and I pray for our players to win games. And that's what Eric Flynn told us to do. All right, let's see. Scott B is also saying Raptors are the best team and organization in this league. The NBA obviously can't have that. In some ways, I do feel like they do undermine us and do things to try and hurt us and make it hard for us to win. I do agree with you, Scott B. But in some ways, also, we got to just understand that's just how it is, and we have to be that much better. And this is the problem when we're not totally fortified and doing really good things and being the juggernaut badass we are in the Eastern Conference of the NBA, then we really falter and we look like we have failure and different things like this. We have to have a lot of things going good to be absolutely that good to overcome all of the obstacles against us. And when we don't, it's a little bit of failure. There's a little bit of this, there's a little bit of that. And that's what's happening right now. Is that we're this close. We're this close. In the last two games, we're this close. What is that X factor? What is that change? What is that adjustment that gets us over the hump to getting W's again? Well, tomorrow's looking pretty good because both the Splash Brothers look like they're not going to be coming. And it could very well be Draymond's not there either. So you don't have any Steph Curry. You don't have any Klay Thompson. You don't have any Draymond Green. We're playing the Warriors. Well, let's see. They're struggling also. So tomorrow may be the day where we end this slide. We need to end this losing streak. The wary face of Scotty Barnes in the interview after the game saying this sucks. And they have to point it out to him. This is the most losing you've ever done in your NBA career so far. And Scotty's like, yeah, it sucks. It sucks. Raymond Jacob is here. Good morning, Raptor Freak. Raymond Jacob, a good standing long-term OG Raptor Freak. Raymond Jacob here from the start. I appreciate you. At this point, I want to see something new. I would like to see them create a new game plan where every player on the roster gets minutes, fresh legs all throughout the game. I love this idea, Raymond, and I think this is something he should have been doing all along. That this is one of the strengths of our team. You want to go premiums, Nick? Well, you're running your guys to the ground. They're ineffective at the end of games. They just don't have enough juice. If you really deployed them in certain certain groups and had them come out and do where they were each had their energy over and over again, I think this would work better in some ways because we're seeing capableness by different guys off the bench in ways that they could really be helping, like Malachi Flynn. And it's bugging me too. Now, I do want to see something new too. And one of the things we saw last night that it was new because we hadn't seen it in a while, but it was not new at all, is the small guard lineup. The two small guards, Malachi and Fred, running together actually felt like home in some ways. It was really weird. It felt really comfortable, like an old pair of shoes. And it was like, damn, this is kind of like Lowry and Van Vliet stuff from before. And I was like, this feels good and it's effective and we're winning. But do we really want to go back to this kind of route down going forward? Do we really want to be that two guard small lineup once again, just because it seems like it's working? It's not going to work all the time. I don't know. But it was weird seeing it back all of a sudden and it being successful for the most part. Oh, man. All right, let's see what else Raymond's saying. Prevents injuries, takes advantage of every player's assets, mixing it up in there. Harder for them teams to plan against. One thing I will say about what Raymond's saying here is, listen, the Raptors had 4 players in double digits last night, and one of them was Malachi Flynn with 13, and Siakam was 17. Nobody else is stepping up and helping. You got Fred and Scotty carrying all the water once again with 65 points out of, like, that's more than half of our points in 2 individuals. But it's not totally these guys' fault. While the Nets had an 11-man rotation last night, we only played 8 guys. What the fuck, Nick Nurse? They played 11 people and we played 8. We played 8. What is going on with you, bro? You brought Jeff Doughton, fast-tracked him down, the Gardner, to get the fuck to the game from 9:05 to the last second when Gary's thigh seized up and warm-ups. And you didn't even bother to use him coming all the way down there. And what about Delano? He was sitting over there also. There were guys that were available that you could have played last night, but instead you still decided to go with an 8-man rotation versus an 11-man rotation. In fact, what Jacques Vaughn did with his rotations and his different people he tried at different times, that's something maybe you should try and be a little bit more expansive with your rotation and who you're putting out there for what, and cut into those starters' minutes. I'm sorry, bro. Minutes police are here. Woo! Woo! That's right. Minutes police on the site. Let's see. What is the crime scene, sir? Let me look. Well, Fred VanVleet had 43 minutes. Oh, that's a lot of minutes for him, but we need him out there. I don't care. It's better if we get more time for people off the bench also. Who else played? Juancho Hernan-Gomez, 41 minutes and 8 points. That is something. In the interview after the game, Juancho said he has to be better. You're damn right, Juancho. If you're going to get starters minutes, you got to get double digits at least. If not, try and get as close to 20 points as possible. Juancho, 8 points is not enough, bro. You played well. You moved well. I love to see the 3 made. The rebounds, 6 of rebounds, that's great. No turnovers, that's fantastic. But you need to fill it up to a degree also. That the minutes for these guys have to be filled with some points. If you're going to get time on the court, Thad Young, you can get some time on the court. Kem Birch, who did not, by the way, Kem Birch did not play last night. You guys need to fill it up a little bit more. Now, in particular, if you can look at the guys who scored, nobody is capable scorer like Hernan-Gomez, Koloko, and Young. They haven't really shown that they should be dependent on to score too much because they just haven't shown it. But Chris Boucher, 5 points off the bench is not enough, especially when we need more to carry water. And it really is that there's just not enough guys that are filling it up. Well, why aren't we playing guys more or having more guys come in? Delano come in. Jeff Doughton Jr., what could he have done last night in a little bit of time? I just want him to expand our lineup and our rotation and stop overplaying guys so much, especially if we're going to lose anyway. Get a little daring. Get a little ballsy, Nick. And play some of your guys, and really let's make this more balanced into the development side of things at this point. Because I'll bet you might even have a better chance of winning by doing this. So I'm totally with Raymond Jacob on both his points, and I think he's exactly right. On all the things he's saying, prevents injuries, takes advantage of every player's assets and their skills and what they can add to the game to help to win. See, that's what I'm saying, bro. In some ways, Nick, you've been so laissez-faire about letting guys do whatever the fuck they want and this stuff like that. But there's real roles in NBA games that guys have to pick up and take and do in the game. And if you don't have it designated whose responsibility is what, then it'll all fall through the cracks at some point in some way. So the more you define roles and give them jobs that they can specifically mentality-wise orient how they're coming into the game to do, the better we'll do. And it really is true what Raymond Jacobs saying. It's like, all right, also he's saying we may even make it all healthy come playing time. If he can switch to this and do this, yeah, it could really help with our health and stuff like that. All right, Starscream is here. Let's see how nice he's going to be. This is Nets fan. And we'll see what he's saying. Tough game last night. Obviously, the good guys won. He's a Nets fan. But once again, Lex, like you always say, it was Kyrie's magic that won us the game. Good luck the rest of the season, guys. It's not even magic, man. Don't even call it magic. He's just a very good player. And that's just that's the kind of stuff. You know what? Listen, the funny thing is in the interview afterwards, he said he's never won a game like this before in the NBA. that this is his first ever buzzer beater to win the game in his whole entire NBA career. Sure, he's taken over in clutch times and scored huge baskets near the end of the game, but he had never ever done it right at the buzzer to win the game like that. And that was a new feather in his cap that he had never gotten. And he was very, very happy about that. In fact, it was a love fest between him and Fred VanVleet after the game. Both of them showing so much appreciation and respect for each other. I know that Fred in recent weeks have been talking about Kyrie as being somebody he looks up to basketball wise the most in this league, that he really looks at him and studies him and really has like paid attention to him for a long time. And now Kyrie has turned around saying that he really enjoys playing against Fred and that he gets up for the matchup. There's some shit talk. They talk a little bit back and forth, but there's very much a mutual respect that is very much very true. And it's interesting because we got that with the Nets players. It's weird. Koloko and his adulation of Kevin Durant is in some ways, it's like, this hurts us, Raptors. Kyrie, KD is going to get drawing fouls from you, Koloko, and you're starstruck and stuff. That's another reason why I didn't want him starting last night, is because, he's starstruck when he's around Kevin Durant, and that sucks. You don't want a dude being kind of like, oh, and this is maybe why you shouldn't have talked about your affinity for Kevin so publicly, Koloko, because this is going to be used against you for a long time from now. And it's too bad. It's just too bad. It's a tough game, but like I said, it's not anything to do with magic or luck. Let's just put it this way. It's hard work, skill, and talent that has been honed and crafted for for a few decades. And that's what Kyrie did. That is that. In some way, you know what? He may have traveled at the end right there too. We'll have to see what the 2-minute report says. He did step a lot. He did a little bit of dancing around the line there, and it looked a little bit like, but they're not going to call it on him at that moment. But he did look like he traveled a little bit there. And like people in the chat before have said, there were some questionable calls. I do think that was a goaltend also, that Scotty's play was a goaltend. But, it is what it is. Raymond saying, good game, Starscream. I don't know what hurt more, Kyrie's 3 or Yuta's 3. Yeah, Yuta's 3 really hurt. And Yuta really did relish, like, putting daggers on us last night. But you go, Yuta. We can't be that upset with him. But, of course, they come in wearing their red, white, and blue jerseys and, like, make it all nationalist and stuff. But it was nice to see the old Dr. J ABA Nets jerseys in some ways. They're cool jerseys. They have a lot of history and a lot to them. But still, also, it's like, why do they do this? And why do we have to wear black at home? We're not the bad guys at home. And that's totally slaps of the NBA doing bullshit. And like, whenever we wear black, I always know that they're kind of trying to frame us as the bad guys. And in our own building, you're going to make us wear black jerseys? What the fuck is that? Just so they can wear red, white, and blue in Canada? What the fuck is that? Fuck that shit. Fuck Brooklyn. I'll say it over and over again. All right. Starscream saying, and thanks for Yuta. Yeah, see, they love Yuta. It's not even that we gave him to you guys. It's just that we did not re-sign him. It wasn't working out here with him in some ways. And in fact, you know what? You wouldn't get Yuta like this if it wasn't for the years of development with us the last couple years. And we all know this. But I'm happy for him because I want to see him have success because he's a great young man. And he really has been a huge part of y'all's success this year. You don't get it twisted. Listen. There's a couple of things y'all have done recently that are really helping you guys get going. And, it's not Steve Nash getting fired, it really did help. And getting Yuta this year kind of helped culture in your team and really, really helped get you guys have good feelings around a team that's kind of mired in the ugliness and just like not good feelings, just really controversy and bad shit. And Yuta is a bright sunshine in that. And that is really helping. And it sucks. It is what it is. But, it is what it is. Now, be careful. I'm almost willing to help, to put into my propaganda that the Nets could be the favorite for the Eastern Conference at this point. But if you go too hard on me this morning, I'll take it back. Well, all right, let's see. Click saying, if the Warriors beat us without Steph, I will be just about done watching this team for a week. It makes my blood boil. Well, we'll have to see and just take the lumps. Listen, in some ways, look, we keep losing like this. Maybe we will get down there and get in the Victor Wemby sweepstakes. Not that I want that, but in some ways, if we're just not adding up to making wins, in some ways, it may be time to kind of like make a midseason decision to not kind of be middling half-assed and just be like, you know what, we really want to like get our guys all fully healthy. So there may be more guys on the injury list during the end of the season just to balance this out. And, if we want to cruise like that. But I hate that. It's not even tanking. It's just management. It's management. You're still trying to win and developing, but also like if you don't win, it's not the biggest deal in the world. It's that kind of thing. It's kind of like what the Spurs are like right now. It's like we're trying to win. We are be competitive. We want our young guys to learn winning ways. But also, if we come up short quite often and our record doesn't look very good, hey, that's not a bad thing either. So it's not technically tanking; it's trying to win in development in that way. So we'll have to see. All right, Boston's here. I don't even know why Boston's here. We ain't got nothing to do with you guys for a while. I say this with respect. Before the season, you had the Raptors finishing first in the East and Boston taking a step back to the 4th or 5th seed. After almost 30 games, how do you feel now? All right, yeah, come in here. At least you said with respect. All right, listen, of course I said I wanted them to be first, and I really did believe that they could be. But obviously, I'm not going to say that right now because I got to be realistic. But at the beginning of the season, we had a projection that could be possible. We were rolling in the beginning when we were healthy, and then when all those injuries happened, they really fucked up our good things going. And it really is crazy how it coincides with certain games and certain things. And like when certain teams are getting better, you can ask the Nets fan at the beginning of the season, they were really in a dire place. And when they played us, we helped them get some good feelings. You can ask the Philly fan that, we were in bad place and losing at the very beginning of the game. And then we played the Raptors and we started getting some good feelings. That we've been doing this for a lot of teams. Look who you fucking just lost to last night, or Boston. So don't even come in here. Orlando, we played them right when they happened to be getting some things figured out and we were weakened. And then we got them some good feelings going. So it's like we're having really bad luck with when we're catching certain teams. And then we're also having bad luck with like back-to-backs and different things. And when we're catching teams, and even though we have advantages with back-to-backs, we're still not having enough to beat teams. Now, sure, you're exactly right. Your team is number one on the top. But, don't get too cocky because things can happen real quick in this league. You know that. And you know what? You're right. That's all I can say. But I stand by my projection at the beginning of the season because there were things. From our side, it looked real good on paper, and we were about to make a leap, but injuries just totally derailed that, whether it's Pascal's injury, the Precious injury, Fred being sick for most of that month, OG's hurt now. There's a lot of different stuff we've been dealing with this whole season. Every single one of our players has missed games except for a rookie, Christian Coloco. So there's a lot to why it didn't happen for us. And then you're kind of middling. It's real easy not to get any traction to try and jump back up. And then as far as you guys and me predicting what I predicted for y'all, well, forgive me for thinking that an interim coach that isn't Ime Udoka would be able to just jump in and be successful right away. That's a huge question mark going into the season. And that was solely the main reason why I thought you guys may be worse, is because of your coaching change. And that was the only reason why. I totally believed in your players, but I didn't understand that the players are actually, once again, this on your team is very much more important than the coach, that y'all's players are kicking ass, whether the coach is whoever it is. Y'all could have made any of y'all's assistant coaches this coach, and it probably would have happened the same way. So there you go. That's for you. And then let's see what Starscream's saying. It's funny how y'all are all here right now. Starscream, there was a certain point last season where we didn't see you ever again last year after certain dumpster fires and certain things. And I didn't see you come into our reaction streams last year when we were playing against you with Goran. And that two nights and 2 games where we were in Brooklyn, beat your ass there, and then you came back here to Toronto and beat your ass here also. So sure, you can have this year, you swept this year, but things can change. And like next year, it could be a whole different kit and a caboodle in different ways too. So we'll have to see year in, year out. But this is y'all's year. I'll give you the respect, especially Kyrie Irving. And listen, Kevin doesn't bug me either. He's not a player I hate. I think he's misunderstood, and I have a lot of respect for him. So in some ways, I like the Nets team, but I still say fuck Brooklyn overall. All right, let's see. Starscream saying the fouls were 18-5 in favor of the Raptors at the half. If anything, I think it evened out over the course of the game. That's part of it, true. The refs were trying to even it out by the end of the game, and they were very much favoring us earlier. They really were, and I can't deny that. The Nets fans right here. Mike saying, a logical Raptors fanatic is here. Salute Real Ones Project Truth. Mike is here. Good to see logical Raptors fanatic. Check out his YouTube channel. Nameless is saying, Kyrie is so good. Goddamn. I don't mind losing to late game heroics by talent like Kyrie Irving. Yeah, you just got to be like, yeah, it's kind of like, well, it's just Michael. It's Michael Jordan. Oh, it's just Kobe. It's that kind of shit. It's just Kyrie. Now, I will say that, we could have played that play way better. And this morning, they better be fucking looking at that play on in their practice session, watching that play and really going over how they could stop that. Because some ways that play looked just like that Russell Westbrook buzzer beater last year against the Lakers. And I don't like this. I don't like that our late game stuff is not going well. In some ways, I'm really not happy with Trevor Gleason, because he has really kind of two jobs on the team in some ways. In fact, what he went over at the coach's open house was late game situations. And he specifically talked about the Atlanta loss at the last second in that overtime game. See, we're losing close games at the end of the game. That's not one of our MOs. That's part of like us being a development team all of a sudden again. Last year, we could win these close games. And that's why I was saying we're not the team in developing, because we actually win when it matters. Well, now we're not. So we're actually reverted down back to a developing team that needs to learn how to win close games at the end of the game again. So he used that example of the Atlanta thing, Trevor Gleason, at the coach's open house. And he says, yeah, I do a lot of this stuff with end game stuff. Well, Gleason, get this shit right, because we're getting too many buzzer beaters against the Raptors recently. And I hate it. 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 We lose right at the end of the game. It sucks. And in some ways, does it matter if you lose by 20 or you lose by 1 point? What is worse? I don't know. I think it may be worse to lose by 20, but it still sucks when you only lose by 1 or 3 points. So Mike's saying we're playing really young guys and trying to rely on them early, and it's showing development at a quick pace, but clearly we're young still and mistakes are being made for sure. Now, on the flip side of that, the positive side is, whoa, look and see what Scotty Barnes is doing. And yeah, know that this future for him is coming and that people need to be really recognizing him. In fact, at times he took over and wanted to be the superstar. He was really trying, and he did fantastic stuff. Let's do the 3 stars of the game. Fred VanVleet is the number 1 star for the Raptors last night. 14 of 24 shooting, 4 of 9 from 3, 7 of 8 at the line, 5 rebounds, 4 assists, 1 steal, 1 block, 39 points. He was a -1. Fred is not really getting the assists. Once again, it was Pascal who was the assist leader last night, and he didn't have to lead the team in rebounds, which was good, but he was up near there. The thing I really like about what Fred's doing recently is he's really smart with his efficiency, because he's not shooting a high volume and missing a high volume. He's actually shooting right around 50% right now. And if he can continue to just play this kind of style and way, that'd be good. But if he starts reverting back to lazy kind of like work on offense for us, it's going to be really hard for us through the season, because he has to be like this 45 to 50% shooter. If he does that, we're in good shape. But he's definitely our star of the game last night. Another huge game, 2 in a row, 39 points by Fred. Scotty's our second star, 26 points, 8 of 18 shooting, 10 of 11 at the free throw line. He did miss both his threes, 3 rebounds, 3 assists, a steal, and just 1 turnover, a -7 for the game. Scotty was really good. And like I said, at times he was showing dominance. He went right at Kevin Durant and scored right in his face. He was really, really getting on them. And I love that technical by Kevin after that. In fact, it was ambiguous. It looked like Scotty might have gotten the technical because it kind of looked like he talked trash, but it was Kevin. Kevin got that technical at that moment. But Scotty really looked dominant at times around the low post. Obviously, this is the crazy thing. He took a lot of first half low post shots and missed them. If he had just made some of those shots, he would have had an even crazier game last night. And I think that he's really starting to, like, because he sees how bad things are going with our team, his urgency to like fast track or get better at doing superstar stuff is happening. And I love what Fred said last night in the interview after the game. He said, "You guys expect him to just metamorphosize like a butterfly and just become this person all of a sudden." Well, it's on his schedule. It has nothing to do with when we want it to happen or how it's going to happen. It's really Scotty. And we'll see. It's like he's trying, and we're seeing like growing pains, but there's such good fruit that is looking like it's going to come from that tree in the future to come. That the early development is showing signs of serious potential as far as like dominance and doing things offensively that the league is not going to like and be easy to deal with. And I love it because he's doing it to guys like Kevin. Kevin's been in this league forever, and he's taken him to school. And I love that so much. All right, let's keep going. Callie's here. Good to see Callie Mayer, a great Raptor freak, one of the originals from the beginning. Not going to lie, I was disappointed on the loss. However, seeing glimpses of what's to come with Scotty gives me goosebumps. See, she sees it. And that's the thing. We got to look at the positive side of things. Look, it's the Nets. They're having a better year this year. They got their shit together to a degree right now. They swept us this year. We're done with them for the rest of the year. So what? It is what it is. Well, we'll just have to see how things go. And let's enjoy seeing Scotty become more and more the player he's going to be in the future over this process. And I think it's going to be fun. We're going to see a lot. Starscream saying playing all 4 games before 2023 is a joke. Once Otto Porter gets his legs under him, I think you guys will be a different team. There's no way a season series should ever be over before the trade deadline. I agree with this in a lot of ways. It's just really dumb. And in fact, that's part of the reason why I think there's manipulation in the season. It's like they've really spread the games out weird. We've only played Boston once so far this season, and almost all of our games against Boston are near the end of the season. And then Milwaukee, we haven't seen them once yet this season yet. And we're going to get all 4 of our games against them in the second half of the season. It's almost like they say, okay, let's put all the Brooklyn games for them in the beginning of the season, and we'll put all the Milwaukee games at the end of the season for them. It's really, really fishy, and it's all fucked up and weird. When I was looking at the schedule when I first saw it, my first reaction was this schedule's fucked up, and it's all fucking kinds of hard. And then they tried to come out and say we had one of the second easiest schedule for travel. I was like, okay, well, at least we have that. But it don't fucking matter when the games are set up the way they are and our schedule the way they are. So fuck all that shit. They may have really been that Orlando weekend was supposed to be one of the easiest weekends for our whole schedule, and we managed to lose both those games. So it's just going to be that kind of year. Let's see. But I appreciate that you see that also. And it is a folly because in some ways, we've seen the same Brooklyn Nets team because it's the same. But we don't know who you guys are going to be later this season. You guys could be way better even. But it could be also other things that go negatively for them. But we will never know. It doesn't matter. We're done with the Nets for this season. They swept us. So be it. We'll see you next year. I doubt we'll play you in the playoffs. But if we do, then, hey, we can hopefully get some spoiler upset kind of thing going there. But, yeah, next year we will see you for sure. And we'll have some remembering from this year. That's for sure. Nameless is saying, when Precious returns, I will not be taking him for granted again. I really don't want to either. In fact, he is showing I really want to keep him forever. He's like a dude that I really like on this team and value majorly. Like almost as much as I value Scott, I value Precious almost just as much at this point because I really do see the X factors and intangibles that he gives us. So those 2 guys were my 2 stars. And once again, I don't want to give a 3rd star to anybody because I don't feel like anybody else on the Raptors stepped up other than Scotty and Freddie. Malachi, I'll give him the 3rd star just because he had a nice shooting performance, 28 minutes, 5 of 11, 2 of 5 from 3, 1 rebound, 1 assist, 1 steal, 13 points. Now, that's still half of his minutes total, and that's really what I look at with him is I want him to get a point per minute average, and he's under half of that, so it's not really that good, but he's one of 4 players in double digits, and I can't give Siakam a star when he scored just as much as Yuta Watanabe off the bench and 16 more minutes played than him. Seriously, Yuta plays 21 minutes and you play 37 and y'all both get 17 points. Siakam, what's up, bro? Come on, man. I know they're key on you. I know that you're like the focal point of defenses at this point, but you got to do better. You can't just get 17 points. This is 2 games in a row where you've underperformed. You've done okay, but you've not been the level of being a superstar to take over games and do things and do stuff to help your team win. And we could have used you last night. We really, really could have used you last night. All right, so Kareem Thomas here, another original OG Raptor freak from the beginning. I like Scotty getting paint touches, but what I love more is Scotty Antetokounmpo Barnes attacking the paint. Masai meeting lit that fire. Barnes back on his trajectory to legendary status. I love that Kareem's being positive this morning. And yeah, wasn't that cool? Like seeing bursts where he go to the basket and just dunk it on them all of a sudden. That is such a fun aspect of his game. It really is because of his court vision. He reads the floor and maybe he sees a lane developing and he's like, I can take this. He puts that first step into it and boom, all of a sudden he's at the rim and he's dunking it. And I love that. You're right. That's something that we're not talking about because the low post stuff is so like happening a lot. But that also, that open court transition, kind of like I'm Magic Johnson coming down the court. Well, I can either pass it, look for somebody else, or you may need to watch out for me attacking the rim. And that is very honest, like for sure. Thank you, Kareem, for your positive comment in this, difficult morning for a Raptor fan. Logical saying the Flynn Fred VanVleet backcourt only worked based on them playing Curry and Kyrie at the same time. So Flynn was only on Curry, but second half Curry never came back. They played Harris and Yuta as bench guard. Well, they still did that two guard lineup, but it maybe didn't work as effectively when there was another taller player out there. I think you're right. Like I remember Seth Curry only played in the first half, and it was just for a little bit, and he barely played. He didn't play that long. And it was weird seeing that lineup out there again, but it felt real good and it felt like it was working. And maybe it was because Malachi and him could trade roles really quickly. I wish that Scotty could do this with Fred, where they could trade roles really quickly and learn this more, because in some ways it would work. I was yelling out, Freddie and Reddy. That was my whole thing last night. Reddy and Freddie. Look out, there's Reddy and there's Freddie. And they're going to make some shots. And yeah, it was nice. It was cool in some ways. It was kind of like visiting an old friend, but I don't know if I want to be hanging out with them for too long as far as like having this kind of lineup with 2 small guards a lot, because it still doesn't work mostly in the NBA in most situations. And good point, Mike. Thank you. Toby is here. Let's see what Toby has to say. We'll tread lightly. Chill, bro. We're just not very good. Should have plunged for Durant when we had the chance. Yeah, woulda, coulda, shoulda. No, man, come on, listen. Once again, Toby, you're kind of a villain when you come in here. I know maybe your heart's in the right place in some ways, but you just don't manifest it out of your mouth in some ways. I don't know, chilling. What am I chilling on? I'm just like, look, I'm looking at this game. I'm looking at it astutely and just kind of realistically. And I'm just saying this. Look, last year at this time, I would have said something like, well, we can still win and start get going, and we can be still the best team in the league. But this year, I'm not saying that, Toby. So, at least, look, that I'm not being totally unrealistic in the positive way like I would have been last year at this point, because I do not see it this year. Last year I did, but this year in some ways I don't see it getting us out of the mud, because there's certain things that just aren't happening in consistent ways or the way we usually do it. And it's too bad. And as far as like going for Durant, no, we still shouldn't have done that. You guys can all think that, but I still don't think that was been the right move. So, and we don't even know what that deal was exactly. It's not totally clear. I think it really was Gary and OG and first round picks for Kevin. And that may have been just too much in some ways. I don't know if that, you think about what it would be coming back and forth. Would it really have put us over the top? I don't know, maybe. But I think we made the right move, and we shouldn't second guess things. We got to just go forward and keep going. I don't do a lot of woulda, coulda, shoulda here. In some ways you can talk about, oh, this happened in the game. It's whatever. It happened the way it did. And that's why we're not Marty McFly. Can't go in a time machine and go back to the future, or go back and like tell Masai Ujiri and Bobby Webster, say, oh, you need to make this Kevin Durant trade right now here in July, because I'll tell you what's going to happen in 3 months. I can't fucking do that. So it's like, and not that they would have done it anyway, even if we told them. Because, I don't think the problem with this Durant thing that happened this summer is that the Nets really wanted Scotty, and they weren't going to do any other deal without Barnes in it. And we were not going to do that. So there really wasn't any kind of realistic deal that was going to happen. It's just everybody in Raptors Nation started thinking, ooh, Kevin Durant in red Raptors jersey. That looks so nice. And they wanted to figure out ways to make it happen. I don't think it ever realistically was close. just because both sides, what they were asking for, were just not very close to each other. Like what we would give them and what they wanted were not anywhere near what lining up. So I don't think that was actually like seriously a real deal because they were asking for too much. And there was Masai said no Barnes in the deal, and that was it. Cool Cat's saying, good morning, Raptor Free Crew. Great game. Got a ticket. Okay, so you went to the game last night. Cool. Missing many core players, killing us. Yuta the dagger. Pascal was OG. Minutes tied to KD. Pascal injury, can't jump. Keeps stretching his thighs. I don't know what's going on. But yeah, it's true. I do need to take an account for Pascal. And I said this to myself at the beginning of the game. Because OG's not out there. He's going to definitely have to pick up some of the individual defensive slack that he would have to do on people like Kevin Durant. And that is part of what happened last night with Pascal scoring, is that he had to expend way more on the other end. But it's still, there's a balance. He's got to figure out his spots on both ends of the court and still do things enough on both sides to make things work. Denial's here. Ta-da. Greetings. This season has been painful to watch. No idea what Nurse's problem is with not playing guys. Can't develop players and expect them to perform if you're giving them 5 minutes a game. I mean, I'm not going to argue against like him not getting more of a rotation out there. This is something I've been fighting for a long time. In fact, over 2 years. I was talking about this last year too. Starscream saying, well, yeah, because I was done with the team after the Harden fiasco. Okay, so see, last year he stopped coming here because he just threw up his hands after the deal to get Ben Simmons and just everything going on. And maybe he just wasn't watching the Nets for the rest of the season after that. So, all right, I get it. But yeah, it's like this. And I'm glad you're back. Don't get me wrong. And I appreciate you being respectful this morning in a time when it's really tough for us. We're having a really hard time as a franchise and a fan nation. So I appreciate you being pretty respectful and pretty cool. And I hope you will continue to come see us this season, even though we're not going to play you guys again. And I know you got fun just checking in with us and saying hi. And I hope you will still. Let's see. Mike's saying Simmons has had some minutes and has not developed. So it's not just minutes and acting like that's the be and end all for younger guys still needing to learn basic stuff to playable level off court. I like what Mike's saying here. Ben Simmons in a weird way last night was quite good for them. He 32 minutes, 5 of 7, 5 rebounds, 5 assists, a steal, 10 points. But he was just active and did different things at different times that were really key to help them win. He is kind of an all-purpose kind of guy. I don't know. I don't even want to look at this box score anymore right now. You know what? Let me look at the 905 box score. All right, last night, the Raptors lost both games. Once again, Friday is really bad for the Raptors. Fridays suck. We have such a horrible record on Friday night. We're 0-7 on Friday night in the regular season, like for our main roster. And this 905 team is not that much better on Friday night either. We were in Mississauga playing this College Park Skyhawks, who are actually, honestly, they're number one team in our division. They're 12-4 now. We're 7-9. We lost 134 to 116 in Mississauga. The 3 stars of the game for the Raptors 905, they only played 7 people. They had a 7-man lineup. I think they had 8 or 9 available, but they only played 7. Number one player of the game was Champagny again. He had 16 rebounds. That is his career high ever. 9 offensive rebounds for Justin Champagny, 16 rebounds overall, 6 assists, 31 points. Justin Champagny, amazing once again. He's been on fire and just tearing it up for the 905. He really does need that call up. And Reggie Perry, 28 points, 10 rebounds, 9 assists, really close to a triple-double. 2 steals, 9 and 22 shooting, though, 4 turnovers. But Reggie's our second star. And then the third star of the game is Hassani Gravett. He didn't start this game. They brought him off the bench, but he did way better off the bench. 8 of 14 shooting, 5 assists, 3 rebounds, 2 blocks, 20 points for Hassani Gravett. So those are your 3 stars for the Raptors 905 last night. On the other side of the ball, Armani Brooks, 10 of 17, 3 of 8, 3-point shooting, 23 points with 8 rebounds, 6 assists, and 2 steals. Really good game by Armani, but the man for them was A.J. Lawson, 32 points, 14-21 shooting. So, yeah, good job by the Skyhawks. And Raptors just losing all around last night. This is how it is. What can we do? All right, let's keep going. Tom Duke is here. He's saying, I slept brutal. Still worth getting up to hear you raise your voice at Starscream. We will be part of the Raptors dynasty in the making. F and go, Raptors, and fuck Brooklyn. Thank you, Tom Duke, for your a little bit wild statement, because I can tell you're a little bit like in that crazy mind when you haven't had much sleep. And I love it, Tom. You get into that crazy feral version of you. I love it. I love it. And everything you said here is great. But yeah, it sucks. Denal saying, but you do need minutes in the game. Not everyone is Ben Simmons, thankfully. I'm not saying it will for sure help, but we won't know if guys aren't getting time to gel in game at Logical. You know what? I understand what Logical's saying in some ways. Like, really, these guys, part of the reason why they don't get in, there's a gatekeeping that Nick Nurse has. And it really is a way to motivate his guys. He's really very much using the ability to play in the game as a motivator to get them to play better in practice and learn faster or do better. And it could very well be that some of these guys like Delano or Malachi, not Cam probably, but the younger guys are not doing certain things in practice. And then it's like he's noting it and he's like, okay, well, I'm not going to play him because he's just not showing it. And that may be part of it. You know, Mike's right that the stuff that we don't see in practice really does like lend to whether these guys get to play or not. And if they're not doing things right in the practice or doing certain things right or something like that, then sometimes this is just how it happens. Now, it was really weird to see Nick Nurse's reaction when Malachi got that 4-point play. When he got fouled by Kyrie and he went out of bounds and he made the shot still, Nick was unaffected. He had a very weird like reaction where he was like, oh, well, whatever. And it was weird. Like there is something weird about Malachi Flynn and Nick Nurse. There really is. And I don't know what it is exactly. Something is wrong in that relationship, but I don't know exactly. And I don't want to pick it apart or kind of like say, but there's something weird there. There definitely is. And I wish Malachi the best. But, you know, listen, if it's going to be like this, Bobby Webster, if Malachi's going to be on our team and take a roster spot and we're going to do all this stuff, but Nick Nurse doesn't like him and he doesn't want to play him, maybe you need to just fucking trade him, please. Seriously, Bobby. If your coach is not working out with a certain player or something's not working exactly right, go ahead and just fucking trade him. Help the coach out. Bring him in something else that he wants instead. Because it's obvious he doesn't want Malachi for some reason. I don't know what it is, because that's what it looks like. At least when he hit that shot, Nick was really weird in that moment. It's very weird. Let's see. Lolita's saying, love Yuta when he's a Raptor. He's the enemy now. OG will send him a poster. Scotty Barnes, the star was born. Wow. Yeah, thank you, Lolita. Thank you for the positive takes. And yeah, it was an interesting game. Old friends, old enemies. All kinds of different stuff going on in the game. Logical Raptors Fanatics saying, not going to lie, people, jumping off a cliff for that fourth quarter, but not going to lie, he missed bunnies for the first 3 quarters. So, yes, showing excellent signs. But after the game, people saying this is an example for Scotty point guard now. You know, the Giannis stuff in the open court, the kind of like, you know, the court vision stuff. Yeah, I don't know. See, this is the problem thing. The problem is we're being half-assed. Being half-assed in a couple different ways, whether it's Nick Nurse and his decisions, was we're a developing team or a winning team. We're being half-assed with like, you know, all kinds of stuff. We need to just go all out in one direction or the other. Stop being fucking 1 foot in the other, 1 foot in the other. We can't do this anymore, Raptors. We need to be one or the other. We are either going to go young and develop and really work on our young guys and developing them and not really care about winning, or we're going to really try to win and do everything we can try and win still. You can't do both of them at the same time. You got to figure it out. And the longer we take time to kind of be in the middle and half-assed, we're going to do these weird struggle, kind of weird in the middle kind of games. And that's what I'm saying. We need to figure it out. Bobby Webster, Nick Nurse, what do you guys want to do for the rest of the season? Do you want to try and win? Or win a lot, or do you want to just wave the white flag and do a little bit of developing and let these young guys play? Nick, you may need to switch gears, is what I'm saying right now. Boston Sports is saying the NBA predictions as of right now have the Raptors finishing 44-38 in the 8th seed, battling it out for a play-in spot. With how things are going, would you take that? You know, listen, Boston, I want to say this. Now, if we are all right, this is how things could go. They could go a couple different ways. Obviously, we could fall right out of the playoffs and be in like the more in the lottery for the draft next season. We could be half-assed, like I'm just describing, and kind of be half between, and end up being at the very bottom of the play-in and playing like in a playing games to possibly play you guys in the first round. And you don't want that. Seriously, if we're going to go in this direction where we're going to want to try at the end of the season and we do get healthy, even if we're a play-in team, you guys know that we're a better team than that if we're rolling and we're healthy. And that's not the matchup your guys are going to want in the first round. You guys can sweep the Nets in the first round, but I don't think if you guys got us in the first round the same way you got the Nets last year, that you would have the same kind of stuff happen with us. You know that. So be careful what you wish for with this. In some ways, you may want us to actually get a full playoff spot by the end of the year. Now, they're projecting us for 44-38. Well, that's still a winning record for the season. I love that. If we're above 500 by the end of the season, that'd be great. That'd be fantastic. But listen, you're talking to a very positive Raptors fan that kind of looks for the positive in everything. And right now, I don't even know if we'll be above 500 by the end of the year. And in some ways, to be in the play-in, even that's what you need to be. But the way things are going and how tough our schedule is, all kinds of different factors. Forgive me for doubting our team a little bit right now. Normally, I'm very pie in the sky kind of guy, but right now, I mean, we're being half-assed. So we either need to do one thing or the other in the way. And depending on that, then the scenario for the end of the year will pan out. But you probably don't want us in the play-in and winning the play-in and being the 8th seed against y'all as the number 1 seed at the end of the year. You probably don't want that to a degree because we're kind of like a wolf in sheep's clothing. We may seem like we're not easy to knock over and beat, but that's not true. And if we are bad now and we sue ourselves to be in that position at the end of the year, you may not want that. You may not want that. Trust me. Cool Cat saying Scotty offensively was great in the fourth quarter. Glad he's putting it together. Waiting for his defense to catch up to OG Pascal, then the trio would be a powerhouse with Fred VanVleet, 3-point shooter. There's so many things we could get going in different ways to happen better than it will happen for sure. I really love what Scotty did yesterday. Seriously, he's showing an eye of the tiger. He's showing a fierceness. He's showing a drive. He's showing an ability. He's showing that he can do it. And the thing about his defense, and this goes for Koloko also. They're good defenders. We know Koloko is a great defender from being a defensive player of the year in college. We know that Scotty has that motivation, that gumption. He has the right skill set of strength and speed. He likes to do the Mr. 94 feet, that he's a really good defensive player also. The problem with these guys' defensive ability right now is smarts, experience, and vetness, is that they just don't know some of the little tricks that the other side is going to pull on them. And then until they learn those tricks and know how to guard against them, they're going to get beat all the time. So they could be premium defenders right now, like prospects, but they aren't translating to that in reality on the court. And it really is just young players not got to make dumb mistakes and learn the hard way against better players that are older. And they're showing them, oh, well, this is how this happens. Okay, I don't want ever that happen that again. Sometimes they only have to learn that lesson once. But sometimes it's a hard thing to learn, and it takes a lot of time to actually figure it out. So that's a lot of it right there, is with the defense to catch up that Cool Cat's talking about. It's mental and experience-wise and savviness. And in some ways, it's IQ. It's basketball IQ accumulated from experience in games and playing against top players and what they do and knowing how to guard them. Chris knows how to guard Joel Embiid better than Christian Koloko does, because Chris Boucher has played against Joel Embiid for years now. And Scotty, these guys just need to play more times against people, and they'll figure them out a little bit better. Mike is saying we have to hold expectations, or you create things when he doesn't play well. People say he sucks and overrated. So, yeah, I love the good signs, but let him grow outright still. Scotty is our future, not at the moment. Yeah. I'll just keep going. Nameless is saying, I don't know about you, but the idea of adding another top 10 draft pick to this current roster is pretty enticing. Hang on, it jumped. But there's so much time left still. I'm convinced this team will figure it out. That's the part of the problem. This is so early in the season. There's so much time left, and a lot of things could happen real quick still. Who knows? There could be some crazy shit. A lot of things could go wrong for teams that are above us, and, who knows what could happen. So yeah, it's still a little early to be completely panicking, but also at the same time, the general manager and the coach need to start thinking about what is this year all about? What is this about? It's not trying to win a championship. It's not trying to go deep in the playoffs, possibly. It may be all about just developing and adjusting the minutes to reflect that kind of change. Space Cadet saying, can't believe after another 39-point game, I had to spend time defending Fred on Twitter and YouTube comments. Our fan base sucks sometimes. They just want to play the blame game. They want to point fingers. And Fred is like, some people just hate Fred, or some people just want to blame him for what, no matter what. Keep fighting the good fight, Space Cadet. And honestly, if it gets too overwhelming or it's too stupid or just like whatever, throw your hands up and just forget about it. Because in some ways, it's not even worth it. Logical Raptors fanatics saying Space Cadet is crazy, but smart people with agendas twisting facts to stand on a hill of a bad take. Yeah, on Twitter yesterday, at one point, some people were saying, "Who the hell is Pensair?" All of a sudden, whether it was Michael Grange, these different Raptors people that are more, honored and known in the community as far as like they're real media guys are asking who Pensair is, and all of a sudden he's getting buzz on Twitter. Y'all do this for me. I want to be in Michael Grange's tweet saying, "Who is Raptors freak?" Y'all put my word out there and say maybe they can get some buzz from me, just like Robert Pensair is getting right now. Fucking Misovich, piece of shit. Because like, listen, they're all asking, "Well, who is this guy and what is it about?" And everybody's like, "Oh, he takes bad takes. He hates Fred. He loves Scotty." They're saying all this shit about him on Twitter right now. Traffic probably went up though. That's what I'm saying. Get that going for me. Put that little fire up there for me. Because I'd love to see them come here and see what we're doing here. It's very different than what they're doing over there on that YouTube channel for sure. So yeah, let's see. Kareem saying, are we going to talk about that foul to give? Freddie should have let Kyrie dribble a bit more and kept him in front of him before fouling him. This way, after the inbounds, the Nets could only catch and shoot. Yeah, you know what? There are little things we could have tinkered with and done just slightly differently to help win the game. And that may all get pointed out this morning in film session. I hope so. Because that's true. Like if Freddie had kind of waited maybe a couple seconds, a second or two, boom, that clock is down to like 1 second instead of 3-something seconds. And that makes it even harder for them to make that shot. So in some ways, but also in some ways, it's like Kyrie. He's very quick. You got to get him when you can get him. So it's real easy for us to nitpick and say, oh, the timing on that could have been better. But when you're in that situation, you have to do it yourself. There's so much pressure, and you're almost like you just got to execute and do it. And maybe that was too much time on the clock for them to get organized and get the shot off and get a couple dribbles in. But I can agree with this, Kareem, that could have been a good strategy by the coach and Fred VanVleet in that moment to hold off on that foul to get them to reset to the side out and have less time for that buzzer beater at the very end there. I just hate losing that way because we go to overtime at home with them missing that shot. We have a best chance to beat them in overtime because we're in home. And it's too bad that didn't happen. Let's see. Space Cadet saying playing Coloco is a perfect example of straddling the line. Claxton has owned him this season. Why doesn't Nurse play Birch? Who's telling him to play Coloco? It just doesn't add up. In some ways, it's like he understands who's the future of this team. And he really wants, like, in some ways, it's kind of like Bobby Webster may be saying, like, these are our guys, and we need to invest in them for the future and, like, putting as much time into them. And some of these other guys aren't going to be around. There may be more, like, not as much investment in them just because they're not going to be on our team in, like, 2 or 3 years. So there's part of that is what's the thinking in it, is that it's investment for long term. And I agree. It's like we honestly, part of it is our expectations as fans. We can't expect to win all the time anymore. We really got to be like, we're a developing team like Orlando. And, in some ways, Orlando and I and our team may be very like even in where we are in our place. Like we may be a little more experienced in certain ways and have more of a pedigree because of recent years. But in some ways, what they're doing with their development and where they're at with it, we may be very similar at the place with what we're doing with winning and losing. Let's just put it that way. So that's an interesting way to check the watermark for the Raptors. Compare us to what Orlando's doing because they're a young team that they fuck up games and experience also. That's a similar kind of thing. They may lose some close games from time to time because they don't have the right kind of veteran experience overall on their team. And in some ways we can be comparable to that. Let's see. Kareem saying heading to Sports Check to gift Scotty Barnes a pair of skis. Just as a reminder, he's at his best going downhill. You go, Kareem. I love it. And yeah, him and Fred. Fred's really interesting when he gets coming downhill, and how much he attacks the basket and how successful he is. It's crazy because he's not really the same offensive player that he was last year when he was doing so well. He really is getting to the rim and attacking and doing a lot of looping, like bank shots off there and getting into line. And then like the 3-point shots is secondary offense at this point. It's really interesting and weird what's going on with him. But yeah, I agree. We want to see you, Scotty, with the ball in transition, coming like a bull at the basket more often because we really like seeing it. It's fun. Logical is saying, I understand your thinking, but it's based on Scotty and where he's at level-wise in each positions, and Nick is protecting him from being overtaxed and blown spirit. He's using him based on matchups. That makes sense, too. Like, I wish he could just go under the deep end at being a point guard and just doing that, but it's just not working, and that really is one of the biggest fuck-ups for the season, is that we just didn't come in the season oriented with the right point guard to be who we needed to be. Scotty could have been like a developing point guard this season, but Fred should have still been the designated guy. And one of the things is weird is why doesn't Fred get more assist numbers in now when it's not totally clear? I just wish he would get more assists in some ways because we just need a point guard to play point guard right now in some ways. Line Hunter saying we are way better than our record. Still confident we will turn this around starting Sunday. Once again, another great Raptor freak mentality is that he still believes and he thinks they're going to turn it around starting tomorrow. And, he's right. We're way better than this record. There's a lot of games that we've lost. We had no business losing, and we could have been like the opposite of being a couple games under 500, a couple games over 500 right now. If just a couple of lucky breaks and just a couple of stupid shit didn't happen right at the end of games. And I love it. Tom Duke saying 100% Lion Hunter. Golden State going down. Let's go. Yeah. Logical saying we tried Scotty on ball hard early and it wasn't going as well as expected. So they delayed the plan and hit the emergency Fred VanVleet red button in the glass. That activates both sides. 120% effort. Fred VanVleet isn't planned. Yeah. Nameless saying worst case scenario is we add another top 10 pick and bring in another absolute haul of assets via trade. Don't sound like much of a punishment to me. Also, Lex, your time is coming, young grasshopper. Thank you, Nameless. Well, that's what I'm saying. No matter what situation, we got Masai Ujiri. We are Toronto. We got Nick Nurse. We are a great team. And we're going to have no lose scenarios. It doesn't matter. We could be losing games, but there's a win and a silver lining to those thunder clouds, those dark clouds. There's always a silver lining. And if we put our focus on that, we get seasons like a horrible, disappointing Tampa season that still has really good success in it. So we just got to do that. We just got to game it to where we're going to have a successful year no matter what our record is or the outcome at the end of the year. Because we're going to be successful in developing our young players to get better. And who knows, maybe we fuck around and we get a better draft pick and a very interesting player for next year also. So, yeah. Cool Cat saying OG is not on the bench at all. His injury is serious, I'm afraid. It was supposed to be a week, but now it's more and still uncertain about his return. His defense award's now in jeopardy. Yeah, that's all true right there. It was weird that he wasn't on the bench. There was a couple of them that weren't there. I didn't see Otto out there either. So I don't know if we should totally read into that too much. I don't know why those guys weren't out there. It was weird. There were a couple of them that weren't there and weren't sitting there because the bench looked really empty at the end. It looked like there weren't enough bodies to fill out our whole bench. I'm like, where are different guys? Okay, Justin and Ron are at the 9:05 game. OG's not out there. And I'm pretty sure I didn't see Otto, but maybe I did see Otto. I'm not totally sure. I don't know. Either way, something's weird's going on, but I'm sure OG's fine. And you know what? It may be, if this is similar to the thing that happened last year, then yeah, he's going to be out for a while. And this sucks because last year he was out for way too long with the hip injury last year. If this is the same thing, this is not good. I don't like it. Mike saying Flynn and Fred worked and Fred played better from other created on the floor, like the way Lowry and him played. But Flynn's defense and Scotty's not readiness aren't letting that happen at the moment. But that's the plan. Yeah. Yeah, that's all seems accurate and correct. That it's just Flynn's defense is not good enough, and Scotty is just not ready to be the point guard. So, name was saying, sounds like you really could use Jeff Doughton Jr. right now, Lex. Jeff Doughton could have played last night, and it could have like let the minutes distribution go a little bit further down, and for some of the more overplayed guys. And Kareem saying, every time I watch Kyrie play, I'm starting to think the Earth is flat. He's starting to make you believe. Oh man, listen, if it wasn't for all that nonsense that he believes and he's into, I would like him way more. But as far as basketball wise, he's amazing, and I really like him there on the basketball court and everything basketball related. The stuff between him and Fred that's been espoused recently, that's all great. But as far as outside of basketball, there's a lot about him that I just can't stand. But otherwise, like, dude, it's amazing basketball player. He just is. And it's funny. People were joking last night on Twitter. It's like, why did we let unvaccinated people back into Canada? It's so true. Why? Why? Space Cadet saying, I'll try to spread the Raptor Freak name on Twitter more. All right. I appreciate that, Flex. Whatever you guys can do. I was just like, well, I'm seeing this. Like, why is Panzer blowing up on Twitter today? This is fucking bullshit. Let's get me on there. Let's see if let these guys know about me, just in case they don't know about me yet. In the positive Raptors fan space in the middle of this very dark time. This is definitely when I need to be put on blast, because a lot of Raptor fans may need to come in here and just hear what we're saying in here, because they may be on the ledge. They may be chicken littling. They may be like one of these fans that just absolute shits all over the team after they start losing. Yeah, they horrible. I hate them. All this stuff. Search your feelings for why it's like that. And maybe I can help you with some psychological counseling and help you see why it's like this has more to do with you than the team if you're that upset about them. But anyway, guys, I don't know, man. I don't want to be on this for too long. It's a loss. It sucks. It hurts. And I don't even want to know what else to talk about. Tomorrow I'll do the preview for the Golden State Warriors game here in Toronto. And then we have the Philadelphia game on Monday. So double duty on Monday morning with a preview and a reaction. But tomorrow, the preview. I'll do the research tonight on the Warriors and give you all the latest stuff on them and the referee crew check, all the great stuff, the real mascot matchup. You know what you get from me on preview day. So please join me at 9:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time tomorrow. The regular everyday time that you can count on me to be on here. If you want to talk about Raptors every day, you can, because the Raptor Freak channel is the place to do that. All right, guys, thank you for joining me today on a difficult morning. Once again, we show that we're real ones because we show up on days like today and we talk about it, even though it's painful and it's not the most pleasant thing to do. And we do open the door to our adversaries to coming in here and maybe doing a little bit of jeering and stuff like that. But you know what? Starscream, respect. And, in some ways, I'm kind of rooting for you guys to a degree. I like Kevin as a person. And in some ways, I kind of, listen, I'm going to tell y'all right now. Listen, if you're still in here, Nets fan, I have a bounty on the Celtics this year. I don't care who wins from the East. I'd love it to be the Raptors, but if it isn't going to be us, I don't want it to be the Celtics. So if either the Sixers or the Nets can take the Celtics out this year, I have a bet as the Raptors freak to wear that team's stuff on my channel. If you take out the Celtics, this is a bounty. I'm putting a bounty on their head. If the Nets eliminate the Celtics from a championship contention, I will wear a Nets something on my channel. If the Sixers do the same, I will wear a Sixers something on. I just want anybody but the fucking Celtics. And that's how much I hate them. So you go ahead, Nets. You go ahead, Sixers. Kick some ass. Except the Sixers don't do it against us in the last couple games we got against you. But otherwise, kick some ass. I will be rooting for you against Boston. Just so y'all know. There you go. And listen, if it is you guys in the Eastern Conference Finals against the Celtics, if it's the Sixers against them, I will be rooting for y'all. And seriously. And I would love to see Kevin get a championship before Jason Tatum every single fucking day. I want to see Kevin get that second championship. Just wanted to cement his legacy a little bit more. And I don't really want Philadelphia to win the championship. But if the Nets won the championship, I wouldn't be totally upset because Yuta would have a championship and Kevin Durant would have his second championship. And I don't mind that. I really don't mind that. And also, it's kind of interesting that they would be able to turn it around over this whole course of the season with the way it started, that the Nets actually did win the championship this year. But in the long run, I'd honestly don't want any of y'all to win it and the Western team to win. Like if it's New Orleans or Memphis, I'd love for them to win over one of y'all too. So it's complicated. Anybody but the Celtics in the East is what I'm saying. And I will do that. I will follow through with that, Starscream. You see me say that, and I will do that. If you guys take the Celtics out, I will wear a net something on this channel. I really will. Mike's saying, W stream, fly for your information in my drop today. I touch on the creator stuff and negative stuff. Why I wasn't here that one day. Awesome. All right. So Mike, Logical Raptors Fanatic, follow him on YouTube. He's got a new thing dropping at 2:00 today. That's his normal drop time, Saturday at 2. And it's all about content creation on YouTube around the Raptors and being negative or positive fan. I love that subject. And I'll look forward to seeing it, Mike. And Starscream, that's right. That offer stands. You remember that I said this, that if it's going to be y'all versus the Celtics, you better fucking win, is what I'm saying. Raymond Jacobs saying, build a professional studio to broadcast in, Lex. Brand makeover. Got to get professional play in the bigger leagues. Not that Pensera is big, but his production value is like professional looking, and that attracts. Yeah, I mean, I'm doing little upgrades. Remember, Raymond, how I started, how grainy and messed up and like really, really bad. I had a different laptop. It wasn't as good quality. And so the upgrades are coming slowly but surely. But in some ways, I don't totally want to be completely refined. That it is really part of the charm is just how I am in certain ways with things. But there are going to be upgrades. I'll probably get a microphone pretty soon. And then also, you know, I don't know about doing, I think my backdrops are great. What are you talking about? You got a Muggsy jersey, you got Alvin, you got JYD. I don't know. I like my backdrops, but anyway. All right. I appreciate the advice though, Raymond. That's nice of you. Name is saying therapy session every morning with Dr. Lex Stein. Why do I have to have the Stein? Just be Dr. Otts. Raymond Jacobs saying you already have great content, so maybe turn this channel into a pro channel. I don't know. Well, also, it's not about wanting to get a follow. In some ways, I just want more people to know that I'm out there. In some ways, it's more like I don't care about getting real big. It's really more for people that maybe like us that are dying to have a channel like this to watch. And it's just really getting awareness out there. It's not about like me getting more like if I gave a shit about getting everybody to follow me, I would totally like, you know, kowtow every kind of like thing about what I do on this channel. Like, oh, don't say these kind of things or don't do this. But I don't care about that. I'm 100% being absolutely me. And I can't do it any otherwise. And there's just going to be people that aren't going to like me no matter what. And that's fine. But I basically just want to make people more aware that this is out there. It's not even about growth or getting bigger. It's just you know, there may be people out there suffering needlessly that may need to hear my voice and what I'm saying today. And that's really more of it. It's a humanitarian reasoning. It's not a selfish reasoning. It's that I want to help people in a dark time. Tom Duke saying, we the North, nothing like Raptor Free. Let's go. Thank you, Tom Duke. Double U's for you. And Blackhawk saying, I don't know about rooting for the Nets. I prefer Pelicans or Grizzlies if we don't make it. Well, that's part of the caveat. I should have finished the whole thing, Blackhawk. Is basically, I want somebody to take the Celtics out, and I'll root for you against the Celtics. But when it gets to the finals, if we're not in there, I'd like to see the Western Conference to win. It is very, very much that. But if it's the worst thing in the world, it wouldn't be the Nets winning a championship, although they would have their first championship ever as a franchise. And it is kind of nice to see the back of their jersey without the little gold emblem in the middle like we have on ours, because we still do have that over them, at least. Raymond Jacobs saying, laugh out loud, nothing wrong, but maybe like a talk behind a desk like the pros do on ESPN. I don't know. Maybe, Raymond, I'll listen to your ideas and think about it. Maybe brainstorm. Who knows? You may see some slight changes over time, and it may be something like what you're saying. Tom Duke saying, "Ha, Ray, I can see it now." Justin Bieber and Lex at the desk in suits. Now you ain't gonna get me to wear a suit. Fuck that. I don't like wearing suits, so that ain't gonna happen. There's a certain level of unprofessionalism that's just gonna happen on this channel. I'm sorry, it's just gonna have to be that way. I will not conform, Raymond Jacob. God damn it. Let's see. And Mike saying one more, and I'll finish up. I touch on it, but it's on Thad still, but respect like always. I shout you out like always. Facts, awareness, and pushing the truth and right things. Info like it is. there if you want it. Thank you, Mike, once again for promoting me also on your channel. I appreciate it. One hand washes the other for sure. And Kenny saying suits with Nike shoes. Well, if they're on my feet, nobody will see them, Kenny. It's like the old anchorman who doesn't wear any pants. He's like, you only see the top. A name is saying, "Don't sell your soul for the fame, Lex," like those Hollywood celebs. Yeah, fuck that. Listen, I'm not ever gonna be on Sportsnet, y'all. I'm not ever gonna be on TSN. I don't ever want to. In fact, I could be maybe on the radio, but I shouldn't be on TV. And part of it is that I want to be outspoken and just have no filter, and I don't want to be a slave to corporate overlords. So fuck that shit. You won't ever get me in that way. That's just how it is. And it's part of why I can talk about Brittany Griner. That's part of why I can talk about abortion. It's part of why I can talk about gun control on this channel and get away with it. And I don't want to be saddled in that. I want to have a free mouthpiece to say whatever the fuck I want to say. And as soon as I get some sort of bosses or corporate involved, that all goes out the window. So fuck that shit. You ain't gonna ever see me do that. If I make money off this channel, it'll be organically through doing things like with you guys and super chats on YouTube and stuff and whatever, Patreon. But it won't be, I won't be getting, I mean, if I get paid by the Fan 590 to be doing a late night radio show, hey, there's nothing wrong with that. But otherwise, like other than that, I really do value my free speech and being able to say whatever the fuck I'm going to say. All right. Keep fighting the good fight, brother. Have an awesome day, everyone. Thank you, Tom Duke. I appreciate that, y'all. Bam, 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 bam. Listen, this is a dark time in the Raptors history. It's just a really difficult time, but you have to have these kind of times to get back to the good times. And we're getting closer and closer. We can see it. Y'all can feel it. You see it in Scotty Barnes. You see it in how close these games are. We are going to get back on it, and we're going to get it figured out. Don't worry. One way or another, we're not going to lose. We're going to make the best of any situation that's going on with our team. Respect and appreciation to Starscream and the Brooklyn Nets Nation for being nice to us. And it sucks that y'all swept us. But we will remember, and there will be receipts to be paid later on. Trust me. We will remember later on down the road. Fred's not forgetting this. Trust me. He is not. All right, so as for everything else, well, we know what the Raptors got to do today. They got to stare in the mirror at themselves and wonder what the hell is going on and try and continue to fix the things so that they get better outcomes on the court. Tomorrow, Golden State, I'll have the preview 9:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. What do we say, Justin? What do we say after this? Please like, comment, subscribe. And what's the last thing we say, Justin?